Hello everyone. I'm here to talk about investments today, right? Something I should have known like let's say 15 years back, but there was no source. At least I didn't probably have the right people to tell me that, right? So I'm just telling you that now, right? So welcome to Just Cars. This is a new video in the channel. Feel free to subscribe and whatever everyone else says, right? Press on the bell icon or whatever. Okay, yeah. Coming to the point. So let's talk about investments, right? So this video is mostly relevant for people who are in just out of college. So you're in your first job, or let's say you are kind of let's say a couple of years into your job, right? So and I'll talk about why is this important for you guys, right? Of course it is equally useful for a 35-year-old person as well, or more than that. But I think investments do their magic if you are investing early, right? Time adds a lot of value. So instead of adding a lot more money into your investments, if you add time to it, or if you have more time, it just do wonders. Okay, let's talk about the type of investments. The first one I'm going to talk about is the equity. So there is direct investments you can make, then there are indirect investments. Not really indirect, passive investments, let's say, those kind of things, right? Equity is a, say, let's say direct investments include equity. Now, equity is, let's take examples of Mahindra cars, right? Or Tata Motors. Or let's take TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. Or take Zomato, for example, which has recently gone live, or Swiggy. These companies, they make, they are public limited companies, and then you can make investments into that companies. So you can buy their shares. For example, Tata Motors one share is like 470 bucks now. Let's say TCS Tata Consultancies, I don't know, about 1200. Zomato is about 320, right? So you can buy these shares, and their value grows over time. Some of these shares can kind of let's say depreciate, and their value can degrow as well. So it's a risky investment, not for short-term gains. There are different strategies you can use, but always look for long-term investments. You can do intraday trading and all those. You buy and sell on the same day, or end of the day it gets force sold. But those are going to be very tricky. You have to be like following the market very diligently and all those. Long term investments are not that bad if the fundamentals of the company is right, and if it has the right intent, and let's say if the top management is not going to be doing any fraud, which happened in a few cases like Kingfisher. But let's say if that doesn't happen, your money will grow. Your money will grow over a period of time. So if you take an example, Tata Motors was at 300 in 2021. It grew into 1200 by 2023. Then it dropped. Then, of course, adding Ratan Tata to Tata's expiring death as well into that, the stock further came down to 670, 680. With a recent split, it even came down to 470. But that's not really a degrowth; it's a split. They're separating Tata Motors and Tata commercial vehicles separately, passenger and commercial vehicles. Yeah, so this is one direct investment you can do. You can download one of those trading applications. Let's say Zerodha, I use Paytm Money, or let's say there is Upstocks, and then start trading on it. Right? You put your money. SEBI, which is SEBI, is our investment board of India. They monitor all these transactions, and you are liable to pay 12%, 10% capital gain tax if you make money out of it, right? But those are different things. We can talk about that in a different video. Coming to the second type of investment, which is slightly more peaceful, is mutual funds, right? Now there are managed mutual funds mostly, which is managed by a fund manager, and that person will have a lot of experience, probably would manage, let's say, a couple of crores worth of mutual fund. that effectively makes that investment well managed, and most of the mutual funds grow. Let's say 95-90% of the mutual funds. Then they don't really come down. They probably come down in a short term, let's say if COVID happened, or let's say Trump got elected, any of that. But mutual funds generally grow. There are different types of funds you can pick. One of the type is large cap, small cap, and medium cap. Now let's see what it is, right? Cap is capitalization. So large cap is companies with large market capitalization. So if the company's market cap is very high, the volatility comes down, right? So for example, let's say Maruti Suzuki, one share is worth 12,000. I don't know when they went public, but like I'm assuming 20-25 years back, their share started at $800. So the market capitalization became huge over a period of time. So they are less volatile. You can look at small caps as well, slightly more volatile, but then if fundamentals are good, they'll grow. Coming to the next set of mutual funds, type of mutual funds, there are fast growth mutual funds. So you can pick some of the mutual funds, let's say, which will grow at a 15%, 20%. 20% is very high. 15%, 12%, 13%, or year on year, which is pretty good, right? Large caps and all those do not show more than like 9-10% in a year, right? Then of course there are dividend based funds. So you don't really just look for growth. They pay you an amount every year, which is the dividends out of the mutual funds or the equities, right? And you get that money. You can reinvest that back into your investments. So there are different types of mutual funds. I'll give you an example of what we talked in the beginning, right? Which is why start early. Let's say you just started working 22, 23 years of age. If you invest 20,000 every month in your mutual funds, let's say it's called systematic investment plans, SIP, right? You can control where you're putting that money to. If you put 20,000 INR into SIPs every month, it's for 10 years. It's gonna just become, let's say, something like 40 lakhs at a 9% growth. If you do it for 20 years, that becomes 1.4 CR, 1.4 crore. Let's say if you do it for 30 years, you're just adding another 10 years to the 20, but it goes to 3.5 crore, and that's pretty big. 3.5 crore is more than enough for you to retire in India if you're living a peaceful life. Let's say if you want to drive the Porsches and the BMWs and all of that's a different story altogether. But a peaceful life, because 3.5 crore corpus will give you at least, let's take a 5% return every year, right? So that's 15-16 lakhs every year. That's a lakh a month. Plus it'll grow. The money will be inflation corrected as well. So let's say you get 10% return, 10% and 5% you take it. The remaining 5% you put back into the investment, and it is inflation corrected. So it's not a bad money, I mean, to retire. Now, when I say retire, it's not really stopping your job or going out of your job. You could just become financially independent. So start investing, right? Thank you. See you in the next video.